Hello, AfroTech. I'm so happy to be speaking to such an amazing group of technologists today. And one of the cool things about working in technology is the way that it changes so often. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you've probably seen the way that we use and consume technology has changed dramatically. In my career as a computer engineer, I've seen some major changes, including companies moving from hosting their applications and servers on premises to moving everything to the cloud, including networks, databases, servers, and everything in between. We've also gone from building monolithic applications to using microservices and containers that can be deployed thousands of times a day. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention machine learning and artificial intelligence and the way that these two technologies are being used in ways we couldn't even have imagined years ago. And as we hear about these technologies, we think that, wow, I could probably use this in my job today. Wouldn't it be really cool if I can implement this? But then you might have another thought. How can I use this technology in my production environment today without breaking something or causing some sort of disruption? What will it take to get this shiny new technology into my production environment? And what about the hundreds or thousands or even millions of people that depend on my application being up and running every day? Hi, I'm Michael Jenkins, a senior systems reliability engineer at the Walt Disney Company. For the past 20 years, I've worked as a systems administrator and a solution architect. And I've worked with dozens of different technologies and shepherded those technologies through changes from legacy tech to the latest cutting edge technologies. What I'd like to share with you today is a pipeline with tools that you can use to implement any sort of change, be it technology or a process or a system. So let's take a look at this pipeline in a little bit more detail. Our pipeline has 3 stages: build a business case, share and collaborate, and ease into change. Let's take a closer look at each of these stages and see how they fit together. Let's start with build a business case. And if you're not familiar with this term, you might be wondering, what is a business case? Essentially, a business case is a concise statement that explains the need for the change and any potential impact. It could be a formal document, but it doesn't have to be. It could be an email or a very well-crafted Slack message. Essentially, though, it drills down the need for the change and how you're going to benefit from it. If there is a problem that you're trying to solve, or if there's something that you want to improve, the business case also explains that particular problem and what should be done about it. It also gives very specific cases on how a new tool or process can help. As a technologist, we often get enamored with new tools, right? We see something shiny and new and we're like, hey, I got to use this today in production. That might not fly if you're just kind of rattling that off, but if you can drill down to the very specific reasons why you need a new tool or some new technology and put that in your business case, then that will definitely help. Another thing that you need to consider in your business case is a baseline or metrics that you can use to validate and affirm your change. If, for example, you're having problems deploying applications or you're getting complaints from your customers about something that's not working correctly, you can use that as your baseline to say, hey, after we implement this change, these things are going to improve. So as we kind of wrap up on building our business case, the key idea that we want to take away is emphasizing how any new technology can be a benefit. And you want to focus on how you can save time, and time is money. So if you're saving time, you're saving money. Maybe you're increasing the efficiency of yourself or your team or some other business partner that depends on you. And at the ultimate level, if you can improve customer satisfaction, if there's some process that you're managing that customers depend on, then that's definitely key to including in your business case. Okay, let's move on to the next stage in this pipeline: share and collaborate. Now, if you're starting this change and you're working with a team, it's likely that you're not going to be implementing this change by yourself. This is your opportunity to evangelize your idea and bring people on board. You're going to want to start by telling your peers, anybody that you work with. That could be your team, and it definitely needs to include your management, especially if the change that you have in mind or the technology that you have in mind is going to come with some expenses or some sort of capital investment. You really want to make sure that your management is on board. So in this stage of the pipeline, you want to make sure that you're evangelizing to them as well. You also want to connect with any person who's outside of your team, who's outside of your immediate circle of work. These could be other teams that you work with, or maybe business partners. For example, if you support an application that HR or accounting uses, tell them about this new technology that you want to implement and how they can benefit from it as well. So that way they can champion your change from outside of your sphere of influence. So the main thing we want to take away from sharing and collaborating is that we're building partnerships. If you're making a change that's going to be major or is going to impact a lot of people, you want to make sure that, first of all, they know about it. And second of all, that they're on board with the change and that they can support you. If it's a big change, you don't have to make that change by yourself. Make sure that you're sharing the idea with everyone that you think needs to know, and also that they're on board and can help and assist you with the change. Now let's move into the last stage of this pipeline, ease into change. As you're starting out, you don't want to just pull the rug out from everyone. You want to find the least disruptive way that you can to introduce new technology or a new system or new process, whatever it is you're trying to implement. By starting small and then building from there, you can build confidence and show value. And the biggest part of doing that is going back to those baselines and metrics that you collected while you were developing your business case. You can use that information to compare the change in actuality. Is it actually helping? Is it giving the benefit that it promised to give? If it is, then that's a key indicator that you can proceed with your change and keep moving forward. However, it's likely that as you're making your change, you're going to run into problems. That's a very important opportunity for you to step up and to take ownership. You don't want to, have brought on supporters and champions for your change, and then at the first sign of trouble, just leave them high and dry. You want to take ownership of the problem, document it, figure out what went wrong, and then figure out how you can fix it. Definitely use that point to build confidence in your stakeholders so that they know as you move forward with the change, everything's going to be okay. And finally, you want to iterate and expand. As you see that your change is valid because you have the baseline and metrics to prove it, you want to start small, grow a little bit bigger, and then grow some more until your change is finally implemented. Of course, the iteration part is important because as you move from one environment to the next, maybe you're moving from staging to production, you're probably going to run into problems again. So you're going to have to iterate, take ownerships of those problems as well, and make sure that you resolve them, document them, and confirm with your stakeholders that that problem is fixed and it's probably never going to happen again. So as we summarize easing into change, we want to focus on minimizing disruption. Again, we don't want to pull the rug out from anybody, and want our stakeholders and our constituents to be confident that the change is bringing value and that everyone's going to benefit from it when it's fully implemented. Okay, so we've looked at our pipeline, 3 stages: build a business case, share and collaborate, and ease into change. And just to review, building a business case, we're going to have that concise statement that says exactly what technology or process we're trying to implement and why it's going to help us once we get it done. And sharing and collaborating, we want to bring on our stakeholders so that they're on board. We're going to tell our team, we're going to tell our peers and our management and everyone else that needs to know why this change is important and how it's also going to help. And finally, once we get everybody on board, we get everything lined up, we're going to ease into this change. We're going to start small, take ownership of any problems, fix them, and then iterate until our change is fully implemented. Okay, so by now you know the pipeline, you've mastered all these stages. Before I let you go, let's talk about some homework that I have for you. I want you to pause for a moment and think about a process or a system that you're using today in your day-to-day work and how it could be replaced by a new technology. Just think for a minute. I can think of a couple in my day-to-day work. Okay, once you have that in mind, let's ask ourselves another question. What would be the benefit of improving that? What would be the benefit of bringing on a new technology to replace the legacy or the old or the inefficient way that we're currently working? Is it going to save us time? Is it going to make our customers happy? Is it going to save us money? So think about that. And our next question, think about, are there other people that could benefit from the change? Are they other people on your team, or are there stakeholders that could also benefit from the change that you have in mind? Is there anyone that can help you make the change? And finally, think about what's the easiest way to introduce this new technology or this new process or whatever it is you're trying to implement. Is there a way that you can start small and then grow from there until your change is fully implemented? If so, that's probably the best bet. But if not, if you gotta, go from 0 to 60 real quick, is there a way to do that with minimal disruption? Is there a way to make that change so that it's seamless enough that your stakeholders are confident in you making the change? If you go through these questions, you're filling in the pipeline even as you develop it. So again, as you review the pipeline, build a business case, share and collaborate, and ease into change. Ask these questions along the way, and you'll be an expert with this process in no time. Now, at this time, I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of your time at AfroTech.